The year is 2029. Remember passwords? Those archaic strings of letters and numbers we used to secure our digital lives? They were once the gatekeepers to our most sensitive information, from bank accounts to personal emails. But now, they've become relics of a bygone era. Those archaic strings of letters and numbers are gone. We used to juggle dozens of them, each more complex than the last, trying to stay one step ahead of hackers. But no more. The world has moved on. They've faded into the digital dustbin of history. Just like floppy disks and dial-up internet, passwords are now a thing of the past. We've entered a new era of digital security.
Biometrics? So 2020's fingerprints, facial recognition, and voice analysis were the next steps. They offered a more secure and convenient way to verify our identities, but even these methods had their flaws. The world decided full transparency was the way to go. Imagine a world where your identity is seamlessly integrated into every aspect of your life. No more passwords, no more biometric scans, just pure, unadulterated transparency. It wasn't a sudden shift, it was gradual. Over the years, we slowly adapted to new technologies. We started with simple things like unlocking our phones with our faces. Then we moved on to more complex systems that integrated our digital and physical identities. Like a frog in boiling water, we barely noticed. Each new technology was just a small step forward, but together they led to a complete transformation of how we interact with the digital world.
First, passwords became ridiculously complex. We had to remember combinations of letters, numbers, and special characters. It was a nightmare. Then came password managers, but even they weren't foolproof. Then came two-factor authentication, which was basically an admission that passwords were useless. Facial recognition became ubiquitous. Voice analysis too. These methods were more secure, but they still had their limitations.
Soon, our digital identities were seamlessly intertwined with our physical selves. It was convenient, sure, but it also raised new concerns about privacy and security. How much of ourselves were we willing to share with the world? But it also meant our every move was trackable. Every interaction, every transaction, every step we took was recorded and stored. It was a trade-off between convenience and privacy. Then came the big leap, the Global Transparency Initiative, a bold move that changed everything. It was a global agreement to ditch digital authentication entirely. No more passwords, no more biometrics, just pure transparency. A global agreement to ditch digital authentication entirely. Everyone's data became accessible to everyone. It was a radical shift, but it promised a new level of security and trust. Everyone's data became accessible to everyone. It was a world where secrets no longer existed. Everything was out in the open, for better or worse. A bold move, some might say. Insane, others argued. But here we are, living in a world without passwords, where transparency is the new norm. It's a brave new world, and we're just beginning to understand its implications. The initial chaos was, well, chaotic. Identity theft exploded. Privacy advocates went into meltdown. The internet became a free-for-all. It was the Wild West, but with less gunslinging and more data breaches.
But humans are adaptable creatures. We always find a way. Communities became self-policing. Neighborhood watch went digital. Everyone had access to everyone's dirt, so accountability was key. Reputation became the new currency.
A kind of social credit system, but less dystopian and more organic. Do something shady, the whole world knows. Help an old lady cross the street. Instant karma points. Education had to adapt big time. Remember cheating on tests, plagiarism? Those became quaint relics of the past. Everything was out in the open.
Education became about collaboration, not competition. Digital literacy became as fundamental as reading and writing. Understanding how to navigate this transparent world was crucial. Ethics became a core subject, not an elective afterthought.
Schools became community hubs. The lines between formal education and lifelong learning blurred. With everyone's knowledge and experience openly accessible, learning became a continuous, collaborative process. Personal relationships got interesting. Imagine dating apps where everyone's history is an open book. You could see not just their likes and dislikes, but their past relationships, their compatibility scores, and even their most embarrassing moments. It was like having a crystal ball into someone's life. No more catfishing, that's for sure, but also no more mystery. The thrill of discovering someone new was replaced by the certainty of knowing almost everything about them. It was a double-edged sword. While it eliminated deceit, it also took away the excitement of the unknown. First dates were basically a formality. People already knew each other's favorite movies, past heartbreaks, and even their quirks. Conversations flowed easily, but the spark of discovery was often missing. It was as if everyone was reading from a script they had already memorized.
Trust became the bedrock of all relationships. Romantic, platonic, professional. With nothing to hide, people were forced to be genuine. Friendships deepened, and professional relationships became more straightforward. The transparency created a sense of security, knowing that everyone was on the same page. Transparency fostered honesty. It wasn't always pretty, but it was real. People had to confront their flaws and accept others' imperfections. It led to more meaningful connections, but also more conflicts. The raw truth was sometimes hard to handle, but it was the foundation of authentic relationships. The era of carefully curated online personas was over. What you saw was what you got. Social media profiles became more genuine, reflecting real lives instead of idealized versions. People felt liberated from the pressure to present a perfect image, embracing their true selves.
Businesses had to adapt to no more shady dealings behind closed doors. Consumer trust became paramount. Companies had to be transparent about their practices, from sourcing materials to employee treatment. This shift led to a more ethical business environment where integrity was valued over profit. Transparency became a marketing strategy in itself. Companies that embraced openness thrived. They built loyal customer bases who appreciated their honesty. Marketing campaigns focused on showcasing the company's values and ethical practices, creating a strong bond with consumers. Those that didn't, well, let's just say their dirty laundry was aired for all to see. Scandals were no longer hidden, and companies that tried to deceive the public faced severe backlash. In this new era, honesty wasn't just the best policy, it was the only policy. The arts and culture flourished.
With everyone's influences and inspirations on display, creativity exploded.
Imagine a world where every song, every painting, every film is a collaborative tapestry of human experience.
The line between artist and audience blurred.
Everyone became a participant in the creative process.
The internet became a vast, interconnected canvas for collaboration and expression.
Remember when international diplomacy was all cloak and dagger secrecy? Yeah, that's gone. With every nation's agenda on full display, diplomacy became a lot more direct. Global cooperation became a necessity, not just a nice idea. Climate change, pandemics, economic crises, these problems didn't care about national borders. Transparency fostered trust, and trust paved the way for collaborative solutions. The world in 2029 is very different. It's a world without digital walls, a world where honesty isn't just the best policy, it's the only policy. It's a world built on trust, transparency and accountability. Is it a utopia? Of course not. There are still challenges. Inequality, injustice and plain old human stupidity still exist. But the tools for addressing these problems are more powerful than ever. The playing field is more level. The power dynamics have shifted. Information is power, and in this world everyone has access to information. It's a world where the truth has nowhere to hide, and that, my friends, is a beautiful thing. But is this level of transparency sustainable? In our quest for a utopian society, where every action is monitored and every individual is accountable, we must ask ourselves, at what cost? The omnipresence of surveillance cameras, the constant tracking of our digital footprints, and the erosion of our private lives are all part of this new reality. What about the right to be forgotten, the right to privacy? These are fundamental human rights that are increasingly under threat. As we navigate this digital age, the balance between transparency and privacy becomes ever more precarious. The right to be forgotten is not just about erasing past mistakes, it's about reclaiming our autonomy in a world that never forgets. Have we sacrificed too much in our pursuit of a more open world? The heated debates in urban settings and the solitary contemplation of individuals reflect a society grappling with these profound questions. The trade-offs between security and freedom, between openness and privacy, are not just theoretical, they impact our daily lives in tangible ways. These are questions that continue to be debated. Public forums and panel discussions are filled with voices arguing both sides. Some see transparency as a means to hold power accountable, while others view it as an intrusion into personal freedoms. The discourse is ongoing, and the stakes are high. Some argue that the loss of privacy has led to a chilling effect on free speech and dissent. The empty stage symbolizes the voices that have been silenced, while the person looking over their shoulder represents the pervasive sense of being watched. In such an environment, how can true freedom of expression thrive? Others worry about the potential for abuse by those in power. The politician addressing the crowd may have good intentions, but the shadowy figure watching over the plaza serves as a reminder of the ever-present risk of surveillance being used to control and manipulate. The balance of power is delicate and the potential for abuse is real. The line between transparency and surveillance has become increasingly blurred. As we walk under streetlights with CCTV cameras and see drones flying overhead, we must question where transparency ends and surveillance begins. The tools designed to protect us can easily become instruments of control. There are concerns about mental health and the constant pressure to present a perfect image to the world. The act of taking selfies in a bustling city may seem harmless, but the stress of maintaining a curated digital persona can take a toll on mental well-being. The pressure to always be on and to present a flawless image is relentless. The digital divide has also widened, with those who lack access to technology or digital literacy being left behind. In a world where connectivity is key, the gap between the digitally literate and those without access to technology is growing. This divide not only affects opportunities, but also exacerbates social inequalities. As we move forward, we must consider how to bridge this gap and ensure that no one is left behind in our digital utopia. The world of 2029 is a world without secrets. It is a world of radical transparency. Whether this new reality is a utopia or a dystopia is a matter of perspective. One thing is certain, the future is open. For better or worse, we've stepped through the looking glass. There's no turning back now.